So I saw Avengers Endgame and I didn't really like it that much. It wasn't awful or anything, and it definitely isn't a cinematic failure like other films in this universe, but I just personally didn't enjoy it that much. There are things I did really like about it, but it did not reflect on the film as a whole. I'm aware a lot more people like the MCU than I do. I'm not exactly a fan of it or anything, and I haven't even seen every single movie in it. And admittedly, if you are a fan of the MCU, you will love this movie, but as someone who is not a fan of the MCU, I found it kind of harder to enjoy considering how much of the film was just pointless fan service. There were occasions in the movie where the fan service did work for me, but there were other occasions where it kind of felt like it was wasting time. It's not really a pacing issue, more a writing issue, but let's just say this film does not really need to be 3 hours long. The word fan is in fan service for a reason. I'm well aware most people will not be interested in the fan service in Sister Act 2, but because I loved Sister Act 1, I kind of find it very enjoyable. I know Sister Act isn't the best analogy for this, but my point still stands. I'm not exactly a major MCU fan, so the fan service that filled up way too much of the movie did not appeal to me. Even ignoring the fan service, I didn't really enjoy the film all that much. The writing was kinda bad, some of the performances weren't the best, the action was boring. There were aspects to this film that I'd heard people raving about, and I was kind of interested to see how they panned out because they were not the typical things you hear people raving about in Marvel movies, but I was left fairly disappointed. Aside from a couple of scenes where it was used effectively, I did not care for the musical composition whatsoever in this film. I'd heard people raving about how it was so different from the normal Marvel music, and it wasn't really anything special to me. This isn't a soundtrack I can see myself seeking out at any point. There wasn't really anything special about the Russo's direction aside from maybe some of the cinematography, I guess. And even then, in some scenes, the cinematography was not so good. One of the action scenes with Captain America had a kind of cool concept that I won't spoil, but the cinematography and editing were so goddamn awful throughout the scene that it was just kind of a waste of a good concept. Seriously, the amount of quick cuts and shaky cam just felt out of place. The editors are behind the editing in a lot of other Marvel movies and also some absolute atrocities, so I wasn't really surprised by this, but at the same time I kind of expected a little better. The tone did work for me at times, but often it felt like it wasn't taking itself seriously enough. The decision to make Ant-Man one of the main characters is genuinely confusing to me. This wasn't helped by the fact that in his serious scenes, Paul Rudd managed to do an absolutely abysmal job at selling the tone. Acting-wise, he did fine throughout the movie, but he just did not work with the tone whatsoever. However, when it comes to acting, I cannot say the same for every performance in the movie. This is the first time in the MCU I'd say Robert Downey Jr. did not do a good job. Josh Brolin's performance as Thanos was much weaker this time around. Bradley Cooper sounded like he just wanted to leave the entire time. Chris Hemsworth just didn't really fit his character somehow, despite having been playing him for 8 years now. And I wasn't really surprised that Mark Ruffalo did a terrible job in this movie, but Mark Ruffalo did a terrible job in this movie. Also, without spoiling things about his character, the design they have for the Hulk in this movie is legitimately abysmal. I don't understand how they got that onto the big screen and approved it. I can't really say who my favorite performance in the movie is from because it's kind of a spoiler that they're even in the movie, but let's just say that their performance was so good that it's actually kind of given me a good reason to actually seek out another certain movie. While she didn't do anything great, Brie Larson's performance kinda surprised me considering how badly she did in Captain Marvel. She didn't do much in this movie, but what she did was fine enough and definitely an improvement. Karen Gillan was great as per usual. I really enjoyed Scarlett Johansson and Jeremy Renner's performances. The acting on the whole was fairly good, but it kind of sucks that some of the major players were some of the worst performances in the movie. Oh yeah, I almost forgot, Gwyneth Paltrow does a bad job here, and so does the random child actor that they shove in a lot of this movie. The CGI was mostly good outside of whatever they decided to do with Hulk, which is probably one of the worst things about this movie if I'm being 100% honest. Unfortunately, this movie has a really weak story and really bad character writing, which is kind of one of the most important things you need for your 3-hour movie. Nebula makes a lot of stupid decisions that don't make any sense. Captain Marvel also makes some decisions that don't make any sense. Captain America also makes some decisions that don't make any sense. And then you have the fact that the actual plot of the movie does not really make any sense. The movie sets up rules for itself and then it proceeds to just break them. There isn't really any consistency. On top of that, there are plenty of aspects about the film that are just flat out predictable. In the sense of the actual story of the film, it's very, very weak. I could easily do a spoiler talk on it, but honestly, I don't really feel like it. And since I can't be bothered devoting a spoiler talk to this movie, I'll just say here that the reason they have for Ant-Man to get out of the quantum realm is really, really, really stupid. If you thought the whole thing with Nick Fury's eye and Captain Marvel was stupid, then you are going to be livid about this one. On the whole, the film is watchable enough, I guess, but it also isn't very good, and I didn't really get anything out of it. A lot of the character arcs are settled in a very unsatisfying way, it's predictable, the story's stupid, some of the acting is bad, the action is awful. There's a cool sequence in Tokyo that's done in a kind of one-take kind of style, and I really enjoyed that in the movie, but the rest of the action was just quick-cut, shaky cam garbage. It's great that so many other people are really enjoying this movie, but personally it just wasn't for me. I'm not an MCU fan after all, so it's not like I was going to see this as a masterpiece. Oh yeah, I almost forgot, the product placement in this movie was really obnoxious and forced. We get that every car they drive is an Audi, you don't have to shove the logo into the screen. We get that Fortnite's popular and it probably sponsored you, you don't have to force it into the screen. While I've been doing this review, I've had a lot of oh I forgot moments, and it's probably because I'll have forgotten a lot about this movie within like a week. Sure, there are some memorable moments and there's some dumb things about it that will probably stick with me, but as a whole this isn't really a film I can see myself ever returning to or ever really thinking about again. If you're a fan of the MCU, or you're really interested in this kind of stuff, or you think this looks like something that appeals to you, then definitely go check it out and go have a great time, and don't let me stop you from enjoying it. But personally, this one just really wasn't something I liked. And hey, if you want to watch something that isn't this at the cinema right now, and if you're in the UK like I am, and you can base your release dates off of what I say, then maybe go watch 8th Grade instead. I didn't really have that much to say about it, so I didn't review it, but I gave that one a 10 out of 10. Maybe you could watch one of the other good films in cinemas right now. If you wait till Friday, The Hummingbird Project comes out. I saw that at London Film Festival last year and really liked it. I gave it a 7 out of 10. Actually, nah, screw all other movies, just go watch Greta. I'm giving Avengers Endgame a 4 out of 10. That's the end of this video. Like, share, subscribe. I'm bad at outros, and I'll see you in whatever I do next. Which will hopefully be my Darkest Minds commentary. Yep, I actually did a commentary, and it's currently fighting Fox with an appeal for commentary, but they were really nice about Bohemian Rhapsody, so I'm hoping for the same here again, so hopefully you guys get to see that soon. Okay, bye.